Tyrrell family has been producing wines in Australia's Hunter Valley since 1858. Bruce Tyrrell is the fourth generation of his family to run the winery that now produces 500,000 cases per year. In 2006, Bruce was recognized with an Order of Australia Medal for his contribution to the Australian wine industry, improving grape quality, research, tourism, and export opportunities. He's also a founding member of Australia's First Families of Wine. Welcome, Bruce.
Natalie, thank you. It's great to be with you.
Terrific. First of all, tell us what the First Families of Australian Wine is. Like, who's a member and how do you get to be part of the club?
It's a group of 12 of the older family wineries. I've got to do it by state or I forget someone. From New South Wales is Tyrrell's, McWilliams, De Bortley, Victoria, Tyrrell, Brown Brothers Campbell's, the Birch family from Howard Park in WA, the Osbornes from Darrenburg, Taylors and Barrys from up in Clare, and the Henskys and the Hillsmiths of Yalumba in the Barossa. That's it. I got them all.
Wow. I didn't mean to start off with a quiz here, but very good.
And look, we came together 6-7 years ago with a real concern that the Australian wine industry was losing its personality and its style, and we were being accused, particularly out of England, of just becoming an industrial wine country.
Is that because of all the corporations buying up all the smaller wineries?
Yeah, there was a bit of that, and I think also we were getting represented by, 30-something marketing executives with a three-piece suit and a pointy head with a propeller on it and a laptop computer, who'd never seen a grapevine. And we needed to get that back. I do remember Jancis Robinson at the time writing that the Australian wine industry was starting to look decidedly middle-aged. And I wrote the email but never sent it, which said, "We're the same age, sweetheart. You've handled it a lot better than me, but the English wine press is starting to look decidedly middle-aged." I never sent it. I told her about it. And so that's what brought us together, that we were concerned for the reputation of Australia at the top end. And so we've gone from there. The side benefit has been that the next generation down are all getting to know each other as well as we do.
So they're all family members then, all the
yeah, we actually have these kids' weekends, for want of a better word. They've just done Victoria about 3 weeks ago. So all the next generation get together and go and look at other people's wineries. And I was in England last year. A journalist said to me, "What holds this group together?" And I said, "If you say Ross Brown from Brown Brothers is a twit, I'll knock you out." Because not only is he a competitor, but he's one of my oldest and closest friends. And if we do nothing else but bring the next generation together as closely as we are, then we've been highly successful. But we've done more than that.
Okay, and tell me a bit about that. And also, just being a family-run winery isn't a virtue alone, but what is it when a winery passes from generation to generation? What impact is the potential there?
I think you always want to pass something on in better condition than you got it. And in family businesses, your view is normally a lot longer than it is in a corporation. You don't quite have the return on assets grind that you have if you're listed on the stock exchange. And you probably invest a lot more in your people. I've got a fellow just gone into his 45th year with me. The woman who does all the payroll is 30 years at Tyrrell's on Friday. So we're inclined to keep those sort of long-term people assets.
My goodness, your people age well in addition to your wines. That's great.
Well, maybe it's a good wine that ages them well.
Wine's a preservative. It keeps us all young.
My word.
All right, tell me where the Hunter Valley is in Australia. Just situate it for us here.
Okay, well, the Hunter Valley, which is the oldest wine-producing area in Australia, is about 160 k's north of Sydney. So we're inland from the port of Newcastle. The valley has very narrows right down at the sea, but then opens out into quite a big area. Bottom of it is people and vineyards. The middle is coal mines, and the top of the valley is horse studs.
Oh, wow. And what makes this region different from other regions in Australia? Is it cooler? Is it different soils? What characterizes it?
Just about everybody else in Australia says you've got to be nuts to be growing grapes there. Um, we are the most northerly of all the premium regions. We can get hot and humid and wet during summer. And in some cases, we're probably not that far off Bordeaux, that ability to get the wet vintage. But because we're more northerly, we get our ripening, we get our springs earlier, we get our ripening earlier, so ripening's in the warmer part of summer, in January and early February. And so we get our flavours early. And so we can pick things like our Semillons that are 10.5 and 11 alcohol, and that's all. But they're flavour ripe, and they've got wonderful acid. So it's that ability to get flavour early that sets us apart from the rest of the country.
Good segue. I want to talk about, you say Semillon. It's not Semillon, it's Semillon?
I say Semillon because I've had my nose broken 22 times, and I can't say it the other way.
Okay. Well, okay. So when I was a baby wine writer, I was on assignment for Air Canada's En Route magazine, and I went to the Hunter Valley, and I wandered into your winery. I didn't have a plan, but boy, I was just blown away with these Semillons. I tasted one that was young and one that was old, and they were two completely different wines. So we're talking about a white wine here. What is it about this wine, and especially in relation to the way it ages?
Well, it really is, Natalie, a wine of two lives. I describe, you've got the very young, fresh, vibrant, and these are, let's say 10.5 to 11.5 alcohol, pH of 3, acid just under 7, no oak, no malolactic. What you taste is what comes out of the vineyard. And so when they're young, they're really fresh and vibrant. And then at about 4 to 5 years old, they start to go through this metamorphosis, and the acid softens a bit. But then the fruit just develops, and what I call planes of flavour. Wonderful toasty honey, richness comes to the palate. But they always maintain that wonderful acid. And these wines, now that run the screw cap, thank God, these wines will live 40, 50 years.
Do you get lanolin? I hear that all the time. Lanolin?
Yeah.
What is that? Could you just tell us what lanolin tastes like?
I often say you see that a lot in New Zealand wines because of the sheep. But no, look, it's lanolin's a character that I get in the hotter, dry years.
And what do you compare it to? What for those who don't know what lanolin tastes like, what's the closest thing?
Lanolin's, I don't know, it's the stuff you get when you rub a greasy sheep. That's what your hands will smell like, pretty much.
A greasy sheep, okay.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's where most lanolin, that's where it comes from, is off.
So woolen wax.
Yeah, a bit waxy. Waxy's probably a better description.
Okay.
Where in the softer, cooler years, you get more honey, toasty characters.
Okay. And does the lanolin develop over years, or is lanolin an early character in a young Semillon?
No, it's an early character, but it'll stay there throughout the life of them. So those hotter, dry years will keep that sort of style.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Before we switch over to one of your magnificent red wines that I've been a fan of for a long time, tell me about one of your most memorable winemaking moments, or one of the most memorable moments you've had making wine or in your career.
Oh, gee, there's any number. I remember, and this turned into a bitter disappointment. And I remember in 2000, which was this long, cool, dry, very dry summer, we were picking Shiraz from one of my great old grape growers. And we were picking, he has a block that was planted in 1867, which is the oldest block in the Hunter. And in the Hunter Valley, we never had phylloxera. So, I've got 6 blocks of vineyard of my own that are over 100 years old on their own roots. So the Hunter and the Barossa probably have got the rarest vineyards in the globe. And this block had come in, and they had these big picking bins, big white picking bins. And I was at the far side of the front of the winery, and I saw them tip the first bin into the crusher, and I'd never seen colour that vibrant before in the juice. So I went racing over to the crusher and, what's this? And they told me, and I made them stop and keep those grapes separate and make them on their own. And unfortunately, then one of the young winemakers made a mistake and buggered it up. And I didn't go into the cellar for a month.
Oh.
Yeah,
did he blend them all?
Sorry?
Sorry, what did he do as a mistake? Did he just end up blending them with others?
Yeah, we blended it away. Yeah, made a technical error. So it was never, ever going to be as good as the fruit could have been.
Like the fish that got away or something. Yeah. Wow.
But the colour of that juice I'll never forget, as long as I live.
That's a beautiful image.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we have got Rufus Stone, or I have. I think you are surrounded by bottles except for Rufus Stone, but I'll hold it up so that folks can see it, because it's one that's available here in Ontario and across the country. Mm-hmm. Is the Semillon also available in Canada?
We've just had some Brookdale Semillon come through here in Ontario not that long ago, and I don't know whether there's any still in the stores.
Probably not. But you can always look for it. But this Rufus Stone I've tracked over the years, and it is, I got to say, a magnificent Shiraz that justifiably keeps rising in price. But what is it that makes this different? Because I find there's almost a savory note, a mouth-watering replay of juiciness or something in it that's different from a lot of other Shirazes.
It's funny. Heathcote's an very old area.
Okay.
Got wiped out by phylloxera during the gold rushes of the 1870s. It was a huge area, and then basically disappeared. No one did anything much there. And my sister and brother-in-law in the very early 90s were making wine for a fellow called Len French, who was one of the great artists of Australia. He just had a few tons in this Heathcote area, and we saw the wines and got blown away by them. So went looking, found a block of land. There was an old wheat paddock, never had anything grapes on it before. And bought it and immediately started to plant. And we made the first of them in 1997. Now we've got our neighbour we've got 70 odd acres of our own, and our neighbour next door has got about 160 planted for us, all on exactly the same, on this really old Precambrian, really fine. There's about 40 feet of this red soil. It's amazing stuff. And it's a very low rainfall area, but this soil is like blotting paper. So as soon as there is a bit of rain, it just soaks it up and holds it. And the thing I love about them is that they have some of the bigness that a lot of people expect from Australian Shiraz, but they've got a real white pepper character, and they've got some finesse and elegance, and that's what Tyrrells are all about. We're about making wines that have got some finesse and elegance. Maybe I'm getting older. I can't drink those great big reds anymore. I want to be able to, my wife and I sit down on a Tuesday night and finish the bottle of red and think about a second one, and that's
precisely.
Yeah.
Yes, you are
That's
my people.
my definition of great wine.
Exactly. You don't satiate out so early, and you can go back to it again. I think that's what acidity and the savory note and the finish and extra elements like that do for a wine, as opposed to here it is in your face, all fruit. Yeah.
We've always been about, and the Hunter, I suppose our history in the Hunter Valley takes us that way, that we've always been about fruit and acid in our wines, rather than tannin and alcohol. And so when we went to Heathcote, we took that philosophy with us. And there are some people down there who make really big, heavy extracted wines. We don't. We make what we make.
Terrific. And what would you pair with this wine, Bruce?
Oh, nice piece of steak. Pretty hard to beat with that, I reckon. Good beef. Yeah.
I'd reckon too.
Although things like lamb with that lovely acid, it'll sit with lamb, and because of that acid will cut the bit of grease in the lamb and leave your palate clean. And that's the other part. I think often winemakers make things and don't often think about how the wine's going to be used. And if you're going to make wine, people have got to drink it. The reason you make it is someone's going to take the top off, pour it in a glass, go, "Geez, is that good? I wouldn't mind another one." but it's got to match what they're doing. It's got to match. Most of the good wine we drink's with a meal, so the wine's got to not overpower it, but it's got to leave your palate ready for some more.
That's perfect. Great way to end.
Yeah.
Cheers, Bruce. It was great chatting with you, and this bottle will not go to waste tonight.
Terrific. Enjoy the rest of it. Thanks,
All right,
Natalie.
you enjoy your trip here in Canada.
Will do. Thanks.
All right.